1 year ago, a supermoon triggered a global event. A mutation that turned over 1 billion people into werewolves. And the world would never be the same. And for the last 365 days, the most determined and talented scientists have been working tirelessly, day and night, night and day. They've been working around the science tree, creating all kinds of cures. Some haven't worked and some have failed, but they settled on one that might. They've been rocking around the science tree, creating all kinds of cures to stop this moon from shining down with the science thing called moon screen. No, really, somebody got paid to call a cure for a werewolf disease moon screen. Remember that. Keep that right here in your mind as I talk about Werewolves, which is actually a current release. It is not a sci-fi original. It's not a film that was plucked from the goddamn 90s, even though it looks like total goddamn dog shit, which is actually unfair because werewolf movies from the 90s at least had a little bit of humor, at least tried to have a little bit of fun with their concept. Hell, Werewolf, I don't know, you saw him last. Remember the MST3K movie, Werewolf? Remember that? That was better than this. And that one fucking sucked. Because it had terrible acting, it had, admittedly not very good special effects, but it also had a pretty small budget. Speaking of which, I don't think this film had a very large budget, but it was written by Matthew Kennedy. Kennedy, who did Inheritance and Canary Black. So right there, I probably shouldn't have expected all that much. I did not see a trailer for this. I saw the poster, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to do a triple feature, that is. I decided to watch Flow, I decided to watch Y2K, and then I capped it off with this. I expected to just have a fun romp. I expected something that was going to probably be, admittedly, pretty damn stupid, but all I read was a description. It actually opens up with text talking about a supermoon triggering a global event and turning people into werewolves. And I'm not kidding when I say that they called the cure moon screen. And I thought the whole thing in Moonfall, as mounting moon terror continues to grip the city, was the worst goddamn, line that I had heard in sci-fi, movie history. Or at least in recent sci-fi movie history, or recent movie history. Moon screen. I didn't expect high class from this, but Jesus fucking Christ. It's also like if The Purge had werewolves. Werewolves in the sense that, look, I know it's probably a small budget, and I'm sorry, but these are some of the worst fucking werewolf costumes I've seen. There's nothing wrong with trying to have a new spin and have them maybe be a little more human, but god damn it, it is like they took the costumes from Dog Soldiers and said, okay, we're going to look at that, and we're going to do everything opposite to make those look like the best goddamn werewolf costumes ever. And Dog Soldiers, by the way, pretty goddamn good. Entertaining, used its, limited locations properly. This doesn't use its limited locations properly at all. I actually was convinced this was on the same goddamn lot, and they just boarded up the room so the light didn't pour through. Frank Grillo is in this. Katrina Law, who's an NCIS, and Ifanesh Hadera, who was in The Bricklayer, who is a beautiful woman, I do want to say. And Lou Diamond Phillips is in this, what's left of him. And James Michael Cummings. I'm not laughing. Shut up, I'm not laughing. Honestly, the cure is called fucking Moon Screen. And it also, the lab set, I'm just going to spoil some of this stuff, by the way, but the lab set reminds me of Invitation to Hell, and if you know what I thought of that movie, you know what I'm going to think of this. But the thing is, that was a made-for-TV movie that came out in the 80s. And I think Invitation to Hell did it better. So you have Wesley, who wants to make sure that Lucy and Emma, because Emma's a kid, by the way. Didn't catch a girl's name, don't care. The kid does fine. I'm not even going to knock the kid because the kid is so far down on the ladder. She's not given anything to do. She's just a typical kid in a horror movie. But Wesley is very highly skilled. He sets up some stuff. There's like fence. There's like some fencing, barbed wire, an electric fence. And there are neighbors where, hey, you got to make sure we band together and everything. And if the power goes out, it'll be all right because it's a supermoon. It's going to trigger all this with all these people. By the way, there are maybe like 10 werewolves in this whole goddamn thing. It's like the order of goddamn werewolf movies. Remember the order from, I think, PS4? I think it was PS4. Yeah, that's what they did. They basically just ordered the whole goddamn thing. They substitute scares with flashing imagery and really, really bad editing and terrible acting. I mean, terrible fucking acting by people that are very capable, by the way. But the dialogue is such dog shit. Lou Diamond Phillips doesn't make it very long, which is fine, whatever. He was basically just there for the paycheck, and I don't necessarily fault him. He's been in better projects than this. Baps was a better project than this, and that's saying something. And look, I'm all for a throwback to monster movies of old, even if it's back in the 90s or even the 80s. But dear God, when American Werewolf in Paris, when an American Werewolf in London, like still looks good in comparison. Wolfen still looks good. Actually, an American Werewolf in Paris, now that I think about it, actually looks better than this. This is so fucking bad. And basically, the brilliant idea by these scientists to test this moon screen, which is, again, the actual name of the cure, is to trap some people in cages and test it on them and everything and see if it'll work and expose them to moonlight. And if it doesn't, cause them to turn to werewolves, then it's great. Let's just say things go tits up from there. And yeah, this movie is a slog. This is like 90 minutes, and this really should have just gone to the Sci-Fi Channel or gone to a streaming service. Netflix could have picked this up. Fucking Shudder could have picked this up. And it would. I saw this in theaters. This got a theatrical release. Numerous other movies that are released straight to streaming that look way better than this, that are written way better than this, that are acted way better than this, that have way better talent involved, get released to streaming. But this is from Briarcliff Entertainment, which I think is now going to become my least favorite studio, based on one goddamn movie. There's a line in this about you either dominate, run, or die. Well, I'll take the third goddamn option if it means I don't have to watch this goddamn shit ever again. Or I could run straight into a vat of piranhas. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Wesley basically is is working with these scientists and everything and trying to figure out this cure, which goes tits up. And Lou Diamond Phillips ends up getting turned into a werewolf because, yeah, the supermoon, by the way, if it's exposed to anybody, because I guess this is a supermoon, it'll turn anybody into werewolves, which is why they have to wear the sauna suit things with names on there so we conveniently know who they are, even though none of these characters really fucking matter. But Lou Diamond Phillips gets turned into a werewolf. Katerina, her character, or her husband, or significant other, or fuck buddy, for all I goddamn know, Miles gets turned into a werewolf because he was bitten or turned or whatever. And there's an idea here that could work about people needing to be reformed and trying to find a cure for, lycanthropy, whatever. But man, what in the world was this supposed to be? And by the time we get to any, werewolf suits or whatever, I'm like, wow, really? That's what you went with? Just because you can show a werewolf in a movie doesn't mean you should if you can't make it look halfway good. I'm all for going back to practical effects, but these aren't practical. They're practically bullshit. That's all I can say right there. But then Wesley, or Frank Grillo, and Katrina Law have to escape, basically. People get killed, I think. I can't really goddamn tell because the editing is so fucking bad. But they manage to escape, and then they have to go through Resident Evil style doing cover-based shooting and escape these wolves. And then they stumble upon a bunch of guys that have like a Gatling gun and a bunch of stuff in there, taking out some of the wolves seemingly. We don't really get to see it, and anything we get to see is just bullets flying and whatever. Meanwhile, Lucy and Emma aren't doing all that well because Reagan, the neighbor that Lucy hands some batteries to, got ripped up and everything. It's like she gets her back ripped open and whatever, and okay, if I cared about that character at all, that might fucking matter. And Lucy's constantly repeating, always ready, all this stuff. I will protect my family. I will do this. And again, I don't expect landmark acting from a movie like this, but at least sound like you aren't being held hostage against your will to do this. So then Wesley, and he loses Katrina Love because we can't have any beautiful people in this. But Frank Grillo's in great shape, don't get me wrong, but I liked looking at Miss Katrina. She was very attractive, but nevertheless, she gets dispatched, but not before Wesley ends up getting bit. So he's going to turn into something. By the way, the only reason they were able to avoid this whole thing is this moon screen. The actual cure, again, of this whole thing is because it actually works for like an hour. So you put eye drops in your eyes, and then you cover yourself, and then you have 60 seconds, or 60 minutes rather, to get to wherever and get out of the moon. Just get away from the moon. Here's a question. What if the supermoon lasts longer than the night? Just curious, because apparently everything else is fucked up in this timeline. I don't know what city they were in either. I'm imagining Canada. They could have been in a European country for all I know. They could have been in an alternate universe and fucking stay there for all I fucking care. I know movies are supposed to be made for entertainment, but the key word there is entertainment. Now, Wesley has been bitten. There's a neighbor, Cody, played by Mr. Cummings. I'm sorry. It's a funny last name. Nothing against the guy. He ends up, he's all armed to the teeth, but then a wolf shoves something through his window, and then he's exposed to the moon. He's turned into something, and he had a vest as a wolf killer, so the vest stays on him. So then he's trying to break into Lucy's house. Wesley, because he was bitten, ends up running a wolf into the goddamn, into the house. But then he is going to get turned into a wolf. So he basically says to Lucy, you need to hide Emma, you need to do this and everything, this kind of stuff. And don't worry, and he tells Emma, be strong like your dad, because apparently the dad died in the line of duty. Maybe last year when the supermoon thing hit, maybe he turned into a wolf. Maybe they mentioned that. It doesn't really fucking matter if they did or whatever, because they mentioned so many things that don't really fucking register. Basically, we're near the end of the movie, by the way. He decides to go out there and battle Cody. He gets in the moon. He turns into a wolf. And he just rips Cody's head off. Just instantly. Within like 30 seconds. But still, that's pretty instant. And then he's going to go attack Lucy. And then she's like trying to, reason with him. She's got one last shotgun shell. But she doesn't want to do it because she's not Courtney Love of Kurt Cobain. Is that dark? Probably. She's showing him the picture. Remember, the 5th of November. Remember this. And then he had given her a watch earlier that was like 15 minutes until sunlight. And then it looks like he's, maybe reeling and everything because the picture, I guess, was so hideous because of the yellow clothing or whatever the fuck it was. And he's reeling, and then she realizes, oh shit, it's sunny. She shoots the goddamn, wood covering on the door. The sun shines in. He turns back into Wesley, and then it cuts to credits. It seriously does that. Are they implying a sequel, or is there going to be no supermoon? Are we going to go blow up the goddamn moon and just cause a whole bunch of other issues with the goddamn, world and universe and whatever? No, that would probably actually be too interesting. Werewolves is fucking rotten. It gets an F. This is bad. This is really bad. So, yeah, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.